U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he's aware of the conspiracy theories circulating around the sudden death of his ally, Senator Lindsey Graham, but declared that the FBI was wasting time investigating the matter.
Reports claiming that the FBI searched Lindsey Graham's home after his reported death have raised many questions. Some people believe the search could hold important answers, while others say the truth may be very different from what is being shared. So, what was the purpose of the reported search? Was anything unusual actually found? Or are the biggest stories only based on speculation? What really led to the search of Lindsey Graham's home? And could the answers surprise everyone? Join us in this video as we reveal the details. The shocking discovery in Lindsey Graham's mansion. Early reports say Senator Lindsey Graham died after suffering a tear in a major blood vessel connected to his heart. Doctors believe this happened because he had been living with heart disease for many years. Medical experts explained that the damage to his heart and blood vessels became serious over time and finally led to the deadly tear. At the time of the first report, officials said they were still waiting for the final medical results because more tests, including toxicology, still had to be completed. Even so, the early findings pointed to heart disease as the main reason for his death. News of Graham's passing quickly spread across the United States and around the world. Many people were shocked because his death happened so suddenly. Graham had spent many years serving in Congress and had become one of the most recognized voices in American politics. He was known for speaking his mind, standing firmly behind his beliefs, and working on many important issues involving both the United States and other countries. President Donald Trump was reported to have spoken with Graham only hours before his death. The president had recently returned from an overseas trip where he attended the NATO summit and also met with Ukraine's president. Many people close to Graham said he remained active in his work until the very end. Throughout his career, Graham became known for taking strong positions on national security and foreign affairs. He often spoke against countries like Russia and Iran and believed America should remain strong when dealing with threats from around the world. Leaders from both political parties shared messages after hearing about his death. Former President George W. Bush praised Graham as a man who understood world events and believed America should stay involved in helping defend freedom and stand against tyranny. Former President Joe Biden also honored him. Biden said they disagreed on many political issues over the years, but they both respected the Senate and believed in serving the country through that institution. Many lawmakers also shared their own memories. Some said Graham's place in the Senate would be very hard to replace because he carried many responsibilities and had years of experience. Others remembered his warm personality and his ability to make people laugh, even during difficult times. Friends described him as someone who always had a joke ready and could bring smiles to people around him. Many people said he was not only respected for his work, but also liked because of the way he treated others. Political commentators said Graham belonged to a generation of leaders who experienced many major events in American history, including major terrorist attacks in the early 2000s. Those events shaped the way he looked at national security. He strongly believed America should stop threats before they reached the country. Throughout his career, he remained firm on that belief and rarely changed his position. Even when he disagreed with other Republicans, including President Trump. During the early years of Trump's political rise, Graham continued to support a strong military and believed America should take action against its enemies when necessary. Over time, he and Trump became close political allies. But Graham's views on foreign policy stayed much the same. Many people also remembered the way Graham handled political disagreements. They said he could argue strongly with people inside the Senate, but still treat them with respect once the debate ended. He was known for keeping friendships with people who held very different political views. Many believed this showed a style of leadership that has become less common in today's politics. Some lawmakers said they hoped future leaders would learn from his example by separating political disagreements from personal hatred. Graham was also remembered for supporting Israel and believing America should continue playing an important role around the world. His strong support for military action and his belief in American leadership sometimes brought criticism especially from people who wanted the United States to stay out of foreign conflicts. Even so, supporters said he never hid what he believed. He remained consistent throughout his career and defended the same ideas for many years. After news of his death spread online, false stories and conspiracy theories quickly appeared on social media. One of the claims alleged that the FBI searched Lindsey Graham's home because of questions surrounding the toxicology investigation. However, there has been no official confirmation of what was found inside his mansion. However, the alleged search is quite shocking to everyone. Lindsey Graham is expected to be remembered as a longtime public servant who stayed loyal to his beliefs, spoke openly about difficult issues, worked with people from both political parties, and spent decades serving the American people. His death marks the end of a long career that left a lasting mark on the Senate and on American politics. But even as the nation mourned and leaders paid tribute, one question remains. What was Lindsey Graham working on during the final days of his life? And could those last diplomatic efforts reveal what mattered most to him before his reported passing? Let's delve deeper. Lindsey Graham's final diplomatic efforts. In the final days before his reported death, Senator Lindsey Graham was said to be fully focused on foreign policy. People who followed his work said he believed there was still important work to finish, and he continued to spend his time speaking with world leaders, government officials, and close allies. According to reports, one of his biggest goals was to help move forward an agreement that could bring Saudi Arabia and Israel closer together. He reportedly believed such an agreement could change the future of the Middle East and create a stronger relationship between two important countries in the region. Those who knew about his efforts said he saw this goal as one of the biggest achievements he could help bring to life. Even during a time of growing tension in the Middle East, he reportedly believed peace and cooperation between nations should continue to be pursued. Reports also said Graham believed a successful agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel could remain important long after the fighting in the region came to an end. He allegedly viewed it as a lasting achievement that could improve security, strengthen diplomatic ties, and create new opportunities for cooperation. According to people familiar with his work, he stayed deeply involved in discussions about the issue and continued speaking with leaders who shared the same goal. They claimed he wanted to see meaningful progress before stepping away from public service. During what would reportedly become his final full day, Graham was still carrying out his duties. Reports said he spoke with President Donald Trump during a phone call on the evening before his death. During that conversation, he allegedly updated the president about his recent visit to Ukraine. He was also said to have discussed a proposed sanctions bill aimed at increasing pressure on Russia. According to reports, the conversation later turned to rising tensions involving Iran and the growing security concerns in the Middle East. Those familiar with the discussion claimed Graham remained deeply interested in these issues and continued offering his views on how the United States should respond. According to media reports, Graham believed America should continue taking an active role in world affairs. Throughout his career, he often argued that strong international partnerships were necessary to protect American interests and support allies around the world. Reports suggested that these beliefs remained unchanged during the final days of his life. Even while working on several major issues at once, he reportedly remained committed to finding diplomatic solutions whenever possible, while also supporting strong national security policies. Not long after his reported conversation with President Trump, someone who spoke with Graham allegedly noticed that he was not feeling well. According to reports, the senator admitted he was not feeling his best. The person reportedly encouraged him to seek immediate medical attention. Graham allegedly responded that he planned to do so the following morning, after completing a scheduled television appearance. At the time, he reportedly did not believe his condition required emergency treatment. Despite not feeling well, Graham was said to have remained positive. According to reports, he even made a lighthearted joke during the conversation. He allegedly said that he could not die yet because he still had important work left to finish. Reports claimed he mentioned 3 major goals that were still on his mind. The first was helping move forward the Russia sanctions bill. The second was dealing with the growing concerns involving Iran. The third was continuing his efforts to help achieve normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel. People who later recalled the conversation said those words became especially meaningful because he reportedly passed away only a few hours later. Supporters said those final remarks reflected the way Graham had approached public service for many years. They described him as someone who rarely stepped away from difficult challenges and who believed important work should continue even during times of uncertainty. According to those who worked with him, he remained focused on policy rather than politics and often looked beyond short-term debates to larger international goals. They said he believed the decisions made today could shape global events for many years to come. As news of his reported death spread, many people looked back at the final projects that had occupied so much of his attention. His reported efforts to strengthen relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel became one of the most talked about parts of his final days. Supporters said those efforts showed how committed he remained to diplomacy, international cooperation, and national security until the very end. Whether people agreed with his political views or not, many acknowledged that he stayed active in public service and continued working on major international issues during the last hours of his life. Lindsey Graham reportedly remained focused on diplomacy and national security until his final hours. So, how did world leaders, longtime allies, political rivals, and people across social media react after news of his reported death spread around the world? Let's find out. Global reactions and online speculation. News of Lindsey Graham's reported death quickly spread around the world and brought many different reactions. While many people focused on remembering his career, others began asking questions about the sudden nature of his death. Several claims appeared on social media within hours, but many of those claims remained unverified and were not supported by public evidence. Israel was among the first countries to publicly react to the news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement expressing deep sadness over Graham's passing. Netanyahu described him as a great friend of Israel and one of the strongest supporters of the relationship between Israel and the United States. He also called Graham a true patriot who spent many years standing beside Israel during difficult times. Netanyahu said he had lost a close personal friend and explained that Graham had always believed the alliance between the two countries should remain strong. According to Netanyahu, Graham never changed his views about the dangers facing Israel and always believed America should continue supporting one of its closest allies in the Middle East. Many people in Israel also remembered Graham for the strong positions he took throughout his career. He often spoke in support of Israel and defended its right to protect itself from threats. Supporters believed he clearly understood the security challenges facing the country and was never afraid to speak openly about them. Because of that, many leaders in Israel praised his commitment and said his death was a great loss. Several public figures said his support would not be forgotten and described him as someone who stood by his friends even during difficult moments. While many people in Israel expressed sadness, reports claimed that the reaction inside Iran was very different. According to reports, some Iranian state media outlets openly celebrated the news of Graham's death. Television presenters reportedly made harsh comments because of Graham's long history of criticizing the Iranian government and supporting stronger action against it. Some reports also claimed that pro-government social media accounts shared images celebrating his death. Those reports said the images showed Graham as someone who had been removed from a list of people considered enemies of the Iranian government. The reports also claimed that some of the images included warning messages, suggesting that more names could later be added. These reports reflected the long-running political tensions between Graham and the Iranian leadership. Reports also said Iran's foreign ministry released a public statement after Graham's death. The statement reportedly reflected the difficult relationship that had existed between the senator and the Iranian government for many years. Graham had often called for stronger action against Iran and regularly supported policies designed to place greater pressure on the country's leaders. Because of those positions, reports said his death was viewed very differently inside Iran than it was by many American and Israeli officials. As these reactions continued, many rumors also began spreading online. According to reports, several social media users claimed, without providing evidence, that Graham may have been poisoned. Other posts allegedly suggested that Russia or Iran could have played a role because of Graham's recent visit to Ukraine and his strong political positions. These claims quickly spread across several social media platforms. However, no verified evidence was presented publicly to support those accusations. They remained allegations shared by online users rather than confirmed findings from investigators. The reports also claimed that FBI Director Kash Patel announced that the agency would investigate Graham's death. According to those same reports, news of an investigation caused even more speculation online. Some people treated the reported investigation as proof that something suspicious had happened. However, the reports did not present any official findings showing that investigators had discovered evidence of poisoning, assassination, or foreign involvement. At the time, the claims remained unverified. Another allegation also appeared from Russia. Reports claimed that Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin suggested, without offering evidence, that Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, could have been responsible for Graham's death. According to the reports, Dugin alleged that such an action would have been meant to pressure President Donald Trump into taking stronger military action against Iran. His comments were widely shared online, but they were presented without proof and remained only allegations. As people continued discussing the different theories, many others urged the public to wait for official medical findings instead of believing every story shared online. As tributes continued to pour in from across the country, one question remained. How did the people who worked closest with Lindsey Graham remember the man behind the headlines? And what did they believe his lasting legacy would be? Let's learn more. A leader remembered for his service. The news of Lindsey Graham's reported death came as a painful surprise to many people across the United States. Friends, political leaders, and people who had worked with him for many years struggled to believe that someone who had remained so active in public life was suddenly gone. Many described the loss as one that would leave a deep mark on the Senate and on American politics. Among those who shared emotional words was President Donald Trump. He praised Graham as a man who knew how politics worked better than most people. Trump said Graham was one of the few politicians who knew how to bring people together, build support for his ideas, and move difficult plans forward. He reportedly said many politicians today fail to get results, but Graham had the ability to turn ideas into action. According to those who knew him, that was one of the reasons he remained an important figure in Washington for so many years. Senate Majority Leader John Thune also spoke openly about the loss. He said the news reached him during the night through members of his staff. He admitted that he was still in shock and found it hard to believe that Graham was no longer alive. Thune said it was difficult to imagine walking into the Senate without seeing his longtime friend. He explained that Graham had become such an important part of daily life in Washington that many people simply expected him to always be there.
There wasn't anybody who was a more colorful character, more passionate about the work that he was involved with, but always brought an energy and a sense of enthusiasm that was contagious to anybody that was around him.
According to Thune, Graham's influence reached far beyond the Senate because he had built relationships with leaders across America and around the world. Thune also looked back on the many years they spent together. Their friendship reportedly began while both men served in the House of Representatives. Over the years, they traveled together on official trips, worked on important legislation, and spent time together away from politics. They reportedly enjoyed hunting, golfing, and visiting each other's home states. As people remembered Graham's career, many pointed to the different leadership roles he held in the Senate. He was widely known for speaking strongly about America's national security. He believed the country should remain prepared to face threats and should always protect its allies. He also became known for his work involving judges and the American court system. According to those who worked with him, he paid close attention to legal matters and believed the courts played an important role in protecting the country. Graham also reportedly served as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, where he helped guide major spending plans through Congress. Friends and supporters said he approached every responsibility with energy and determination. Another issue that remained important to him throughout his career was his support for the pro-life movement. Supporters said he defended those beliefs consistently and never tried to hide where he stood. Whether people agreed with him or not, many respected the fact that he remained open about his convictions. Thune described Graham as someone who always believed in the work he was doing. He said Graham never simply showed up, because it was his job. Instead, he approached every day with a strong sense of purpose. According to Thune, Graham believed public service should always be about helping the country, rather than seeking personal attention. Following his reported death, discussions reportedly began about how best to honor his life and service. Leaders were said to be considering funeral arrangements and other official ceremonies. Allegedly, there were also conversations about whether Graham should be given the rare honor of lying in state at the United States Capitol. At the time, no final decision had reportedly been made. Thune explained that he had spoken with Graham's sister as well as the governor of South Carolina, and everyone agreed that the immediate focus should remain on mourning before final plans were announced. Across Capitol Hill, people reportedly gathered to remember Graham in quiet ways. Flowers and memorials were placed outside his Senate office by friends, staff members, and members of the public. Many stopped to pay their respects and reflect on the years he had spent serving the country. Those close to him said these simple acts showed how many lives he had touched during his decades in public office. So, how would those who knew him best describe the legacy he leaves behind? And what challenges now face the Senate in his absence? Let's take a closer look. A legacy that will be remembered. As lawmakers continued to remember Lindsey Graham, many said his greatest strength was not only the positions he held, but also the way he worked with people. Friends and colleagues said he never avoided difficult conversations and was always willing to sit down with people who disagreed with him. They explained that even during heated political debates, Graham believed important work could still be done if people were willing to listen to one another. That approach reportedly helped him build friendships across both political parties. Republicans often saw him as one of their strongest voices on national security, while many Democrats respected his willingness to negotiate when the country faced important challenges. According to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, there were many times when lawmakers from the other side of the aisle turned to Graham because they knew he would seriously discuss difficult issues. Thune reportedly said Graham was fearless and never ran away from complicated problems. Instead, he preferred to face them directly and search for practical solutions. Friends also remembered him as someone with a sharp sense of humor. They said he could make people laugh even during tense meetings, helping lower emotions when disagreements became intense. According to those who knew him, this ability made him easy to approach and helped him build lasting relationships throughout Congress. Many people believed that his personality was one of the reasons he remained influential for so many years. Following reports of his death, flowers and small memorials were reportedly placed outside his Senate office. Staff members, fellow lawmakers, and visitors stopped to pay their respects. Some stood quietly in reflection, while others left flowers as a sign of gratitude for his years of public service. Those simple acts showed that Graham had touched many lives during his long political career. Reports also said that leaders began discussing how best to honor him. Allegedly, conversations included possible funeral arrangements and other official ceremonies that would recognize his years of service to the nation. At the time, however, family members and close friends were said to be focusing first on mourning their loss before making final decisions. Graham's passing also raised questions about the future of the work he had been leading in the Senate. As chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, he reportedly played an important role in guiding major spending bills and other significant legislation through Congress. His experience and leadership had helped unite different groups within his party on several important issues. With his reported death, those responsibilities would now have to be carried by other senators. Thune acknowledged that the Senate would continue its work, but he also admitted that replacing Graham's knowledge, experience, and leadership would not be easy. He reportedly described Graham as someone who brought energy into every meeting and every debate. According to Thune, Graham never treated public service as just another job. He believed deeply in the causes he supported and worked hard every day to move them forward. Whether the issue involved national security, the federal courts, government spending, or other public policy matters, Graham was said to approach each challenge with determination. Friends believed that sense of purpose made him different from many other political leaders. During the interview, Thune was also asked to share a personal memory that best captured the man he knew outside politics. Rather than choosing a famous political event or an important Senate debate, he remembered a quiet evening spent together in South Dakota. He recalled sitting beside a lake with Graham while watching the stars overhead. For Thune, that peaceful moment represented the friendship they had built over many years. It reminded him that behind the public speeches, committee meetings, and political battles was a man who also valued simple moments with close friends. As tributes continued to arrive from across the country, many people reflected on Graham's long career and the influence he had on American politics. How did the people of South Carolina, especially those who worked closely with Lindsey Graham, remember the man behind the political career? Stay tuned for more. Remembering Lindsey Graham's service to South Carolina. After the reported death of Senator Lindsey Graham, Congresswoman Nancy Mace joined many people in remembering his life and the years he spent serving South Carolina. She said the news shocked people across the state because many believed Graham was still active and full of energy. She explained that friends, supporters, and many other people were struggling to accept that someone who had spent so many years serving the public was suddenly gone. Even those who did not always agree with him admitted that he cared deeply about South Carolina and always fought for the people he represented. Mace said Graham was known as a strong leader who never gave up when facing difficult problems. She described him as funny, smart, tough, and brave. According to her, he was always ready to stand up for what he believed was right. She said he understood politics very well and knew how to handle pressure better than most people. One example she remembered was his strong defense of Brett Kavanaugh during the Supreme Court confirmation hearings. She said Graham spoke with confidence during that difficult period and helped change the direction of the debate. To her, that moment showed the courage and determination that made him different from many other politicians. Mace also praised the work Graham did for the people of South Carolina. She said he always worked hard to help his home state and never forgot the people who elected him. Whenever she needed help with important projects, she often turned to Graham because she believed he knew how to get results. She said he helped support projects involving roads, bridges, and work along the South Carolina coast.
I needed something that I couldn't deliver, I would always go to Senator Graham's office. That's who I sought if I needed money for roads or bridges or dredging along the coast.
According to her, Graham understood how the government worked and used his experience to bring help back to his state. Mace also shared personal memories of the friendship they built over the years. She said one of her first meetings after being elected to Congress was with Graham. During that meeting, he gave her advice about serving the public and becoming a better lawmaker. She said he became one of her mentors and continued to guide her whenever she faced difficult decisions. According to Mace, Graham believed that the most important duty of every elected leader was to help the people who voted for them. He often reminded younger lawmakers that serving their communities should always come before politics. Mace said this was the greatest lesson he ever taught her, and it is advice she still follows today. She also spoke about the future of Graham's Senate seat. Mace said she was not interested in being appointed to fill the position for a short time. Instead, she believed the people of South Carolina should first have time to mourn before politics moved forward. She explained that she had already shared her condolences with Governor Henry McMaster and discussed the next steps. While she said she might think about running for the seat in the future, she made it clear that honoring Graham's memory was more important at the moment. As she reflected on his life, Mace said Graham would be remembered as a man who loved his state, worked hard for its people, and never stopped fighting for the causes he believed in. She said his years of service, his strong leadership, and his willingness to help others would leave a lasting mark on South Carolina for many years to come. What do you think about the political legacy of Lindsey Graham? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we explored the life, career, and legacy of Lindsey Graham. If you found this report informative, please like and subscribe. Click on the next video for more stories. See you there.